Kimberly Rice, and you are tuned into the Secret Sauce Marketing Tasting Show, the groundbreaking podcast for business bosses, professional women, and anyone who is hungry to learn how to create the career, business, and life of their dreams by charting their own course. Good morning, everyone. This is Kimberly Rice, Chief Strategist of KLA Marketing Associates. Here we are with the Secret Sauce Podcast Marketing Tastings today. And I'm so happy to be coming to you live today on our show. I have a wonderful guest that I can't wait to talk with. But today I have to say I'm celebrating an extra thing, and it's my birthday. So happy birthday to me, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. But I could not be more excited than to welcome as our guest my good friend and colleague, Robyn Goldenberg of Foxglove Business Solutions. So we're going to speak about Robyn and what services she provides to business folks and others. And I want to just say at the top of the hour that Robyn is an inactive client of ours. We worked with her when she was starting a business of her own, law firm, and she is what we call a recovering lawyer. So that has a whole layer of excitement and intrigue built in. But welcome this morning, Robyn.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, and happy birthday.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful day, particularly that it's on a Friday.
Yeah, the best day to have a birthday.
and interestingly, that was the day I was born on, was a Friday.
Wow, fabulous.
Thank you. So Robyn, I want to share with our listeners a bit about yourself and your professional passion and a few insights into your professional journey.
So I am the owner of Foxglove Business Solutions, and what we do is we help small businesses grow and increase their profits and productivity by uncovering roadblocks and hidden challenges they have. And we deal with everything from operations and management to human resources to social media. How I got involved in this is, as you mentioned, I was a recovering attorney. I started my career as a public defender in Miami, and then was a trial attorney doing personal injury law in Philadelphia and New Jersey for like about the last 20 years. During that time, I had taken some time off and went and traveled around the world for a few months and came back and opened up a legal photography company while I was doing some consulting work in the personal injury area when I was approached by an old colleague, and we started our own personal injury law firm, which is when we hired you to help us out with our marketing, which was terrific. And during that journey, I sort of realized that I really loved operating a business. I was really good at it. I loved the organization and the business development and helping the staff develop and forming operating procedures and standardizing things and getting up with the newest technology, and realized that really my passion seemed to be in running businesses, not so much in the law. So I transitioned out of doing legal work and started Foxglove Business Solutions.
That's fascinating. I love to hear about transitions. As you know, we've worked so much with law firms and lawyers over decades, and what your story, at least part of your story, underscores the fact that having a law degree could never be a negative thing. But I love to see so many people that I know, lawyers that I know, that make a decision to have a different professional path and transition out of the practice of law into other fields, and we've known many over the years. But I'm just curious, what is the genesis of the name Foxglove Business Solutions?
So when picking a name for a new business, as I'm sure you've experienced, it can kind of be a challenge, and you try and pick a name that kind of either resonates with you or will resonate with clients. Foxglove is the fastest growing tree that's immune to fire. So I thought, as an analogy to your business, this company will help you grow and survive all the fires that come your way, so that you can lead a successful and productive business.
Very, very clever. Very clever. I did not know that. Learn something every day. And I'm sure as a good marketer, you have that messaging on your website and other places so people can make that connection.
I do, but as I will take advice from you, and I can always do some more.
Yes, yes, it's a very noisy world we live in, and we all have the attention span of a gnat, unfortunately. So that is wonderful. So I applaud you for that. So I'm curious, what propelled you to pursue small businesses to help them become successful, thriving companies by helping to identify their roadblocks and uncovering hidden challenges?
So I realized that many small businesses kind of fall into a few different categories. Either it's a family-run business and they're still running it the way that their parents did or grandparents did, and they really aren't modernizing with the times and getting the best benefits they can be running their company. Or companies are running the way that as their occupation and not as a business. So what really happened to me was a few years ago, I had a friend who was a doctor and was extremely successful and really ran his businesses extremely well. And he said to me one day, "Oh, I have to go. I'm having a phone call with my CEO." I was like, "What? You have a CEO?" And he's like, "Yeah, I have a CEO, a COO, a CFO." He's like, "I have an entire C-suite of people that run my company for me." And it was sort of then where it clicked that that's unusual. And that's why, in part, he's so successful, because he runs his business like a business, not like a doctor. And most lawyers, especially, unless you're one of the huge law firms, most middle-sized law firms and small law firms, they really run their businesses like lawyers. And they don't take advantage of being business people. And I think that's something really missing. And I thought that I could bring experience and knowledge to small businesses to kind of help them learn those tools.
Such an invaluable, service, because something that I've learned long ago from a business coach is that it's just as important to work on your business as it is in your business, because if you're always working in your business, then you'll never grow your business.
Absolutely. And as you've probably seen, a lot of business owners tend to try and take on all tasks of their business, and they do every different area, which just leads to burnout and sort of spinning of the wheels.
Well, and I think I was just speaking with a prospective client this morning who is a very established lawyer in a firm looking to make a transition. And he made the statement that they were working to develop a new website, and he and his partner had tried to do it themselves, and it was a colossal failure. And then people tell him, well, it's easy to set up a virtual telecom system or a virtual this or that. And he's like, well, it's easy if you know how to do it, and that's the catch-22 that we understand, all of us understand, that when we first started into business, and before the receipts started coming in and you started actually generating revenue, that the resources are slim. However, when you think about the cost time benefit, wouldn't it be better to pay someone $25 an hour to do a service when your time is billed out at $3.50 an hour? You could take the time that it would take you to do it and actually cultivate relationships or increase your message and visibility or go in targeted networking situations. So it's really, I think, either self-teaching or having advisors like you or like me to show and illuminate to people that they're not doing themselves any favors trying to, quote, do it all, nor will the quality of whatever that output is work as well as retaining an expert that understands, and this is what they do every day, and they keep up on the latest technologies or the latest trends or whatever, and just get it done so you can focus on growing the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it could be said better. I mean, I'm a real strong believer in it doesn't pay for you to be writing copy for your own website when you could hire somebody to do that and you could be out generating more business. And, I think one of the other things that happens is a lot of the people running the businesses, there's a lot of automation and technology that's coming their way, and they just can't keep up, or they just never learned how to do it. And so I spoke with someone recently and they were like, look, we're sort of dinosaurs. We really haven't been keeping up with the technology, and we just don't even know how to take the next steps. And that's sort of where I come in and will get you to where you need to be by researching and finding the right platforms for your companies to use. And, a lot of people end up trying to do it themselves and then hiring someone anyway. So they end up wasting a lot of time and money that could have been avoided had they just, reached out for some assistance at the beginning.
And then there's that opportunity cost. All the time that they were spending trying to do it themselves, recognizing that this is not something that they understand or can do in a quality way, and then they end up retaining someone, so they've lost twice.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm just curious with some of your clients, when you meet them, and I'm sure everyone's different in their business life cycle, but what are some of the common pain points that prospective clients or clients have when you meet them where they are?
So I think that some of the common pain points that my clients have is business development, right? So they want to grow, but they don't know how, or they feel like they don't have the time. So we address sort of time management and ways to generate new business. Another pain point is that they don't know how to automate, or they feel or know that there should be a faster, better way of doing what they're doing, but they don't know how to do that. So we work on getting that done. Another issue is, like I had just previously mentioned, that they're sort of doing all the jobs in the business and they're overwhelmed and they can't, they just can't stop doing everything. So we work on that. One of the things I find that a lot of people really want to do and just really don't know how, and very intimidating to them, is social media. Yeah. So anything from Facebook to Instagram to LinkedIn, they really don't know how to use it, and sort of intimidating to a lot of people, which, using those platforms really is dependent upon who your audience is too. So, you need to know who you're trying to target for that. And then the last area I see people having problems with is they're growing and they don't know where human resources falls into their companies. Do they need to have an employee manual? Is it time to have, a computer policy? Do they need to have a sexual harassment policy? Like, how big are they? And when they grow from, 2 or 3 people to 10 people in a year, and then 25 people the following year, you really need to keep up with human resources. And that also is an area a lot of people find that they struggle with.
So important. I know from working with professional services providers, lawyers in particular, that they have a common thread, is that they tend to, from the outside, put their heads in the sand and say, oh, well, this will never happen to us, or this isn't important to us, until someone brings a wrongful termination or a sexual harassment suit against them, right? And then they don't have an employee manual, or they don't have the protection devices or mechanisms in place, and that can have a serious real impact on the viability and the future of their company.
I always kind of joke that lawyers are like the worst violators of human resource law, and they know the law, right? So most companies are so afraid of it that they automatically, realize that they don't know how to do it, but they need some kind of human resource program. But lawyers who should know better are often the ones that wait the longest to implement the human resources program. And that's usually only because something's happened. So yeah, it's a really weird paradox, but it unfortunately there's a reality behind it.
Unfortunately. So tell us a little bit about some of the characteristics that differentiate the services that your firm offers and provides based on contrast to some of your competitors.
So what's really different about us is that we implement the solution. So we don't just give you a report that says, okay, here's all the things you need to do. Have fun, go do them. We will get in the trenches with you and we will address the problems and we will do the work. So we will do the standard operating procedures. We'll make your employee manual. We will get the automation working and running and get any vendors on board that you need to bring to implement certain programs. And so we actually do the work, but the goal is not for us to do the work and then leave. The goal is for us to get the programs running, get the systems running, get you efficient, organized, and operational, and then to teach you how to do it on your own so that you can be self-sustaining. And train somebody how to update your Facebook page, or to train one of your staff members on, when they need to reach out for assistance versus something that they can do on their own. So that is really sort of the biggest differentiation. And the other differentiation is, the fact that I'm a lawyer, I bring a different perspective to things and have a legal eye for some of the ways you may be doing current operations or even job descriptions. And I would be able to see sort of how you're running your company and why you may face legal hurdles, especially in the human resources area as time goes on, based upon what you do or don't have. So you sort of get the eye of a lawyer in addition to the business solution.
That's phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. And I am so excited to hear that, because we know how many small businesses so struggle. And when they struggle, they're, create all this negativity around the stress and the anxiety. And then that has a direct correlation to how they feel about being a business owner, right? I mean, it's just like, oh, sometimes I just want to go, punch a clock and do my job and leave, when the whole reason that they chose another professional path was to be more in control of their journey, but then not stopping to recognize there are certain things and many things that they don't know. And, people can give advice all day, but where the rubber meets the road is when you're there in the trenches collaborating as a business partner. And then the added value of being a lawyer and having that legal background and being able to give a bird's eye view on some of the operations and the mechanisms in their business that could really cause them problems and maybe even put them out of business, that comes part and parcel of your engagement with them. So, wow, that is so exciting, Robyn. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's when you run a business, you need to know what you're good at. And some people are amazing revenue generators, and some people are really organized, and some people, do like the social media. And it's important to kind of recognize where you thrive and where you may, need some assistance. So like, millennials and the new companies, right? They're amazing visionaries. They have these great ideas. They don't really often know how to operate and run their businesses, right? And they don't even want to do that. And so that's sort of where I come in. Sometimes I refer to myself as like your outsourced COO, right?
Yes.
So I could come in and sort of get your company where you need to be, hire the people you need to hire, because you have the vision and you want your company to be a certain place and run a certain way, and I help you get there.
That is phenomenal. That is, everyone that has a business, a small business or growing business, absolutely needs to have you and your firm as one of their business partners, because that's really what you're doing. You're partnering with them to, handhold them along the path to, if they don't have systems, to get systems and processes, which, and structure. And we have found over decades that we all, recognizing that, if you're in any type of business, particularly, for us, professional services business, we all have our bodies of expertise. Certainly we know substantively what we know, but the mechanics of running a business, the business of business, is not anything that you get taught. You certainly, even if you have an MBA, you are not being taught how to run a business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So my next question, Robyn, is, and and both of us are huge supporters of women business and women's business owners, is the overlay of having this service business, working with smaller businesses. I'm just curious, how do you see it through the lens of being a woman and addressing, operational challenges that maybe men business owners have? Do you see a contrast?
So I do. It's very interesting. I see that women tend to be, as business owners, sort of a little bit more organized. They are usually able to sort of identify the obstacles and know what's wrong or what they need help with, and have a harder time maybe with time management. And men, I see, know something's wrong, but really haven't delved into it because they don't want to take the time to do sort of like the nitty gritty. They tend to be like bigger picture, not as concerned with like the day-to-day operation and organization, and don't necessarily want to be bothered with that. So, I find helping women companies, they really seem to kind of know what's wrong, but not necessarily how to fix it or have the time to fix it. With male-run companies, they tend to, understand that something needs to be fixed, but really don't want to be involved in the nitty-gritty of what that is. They just want the problem to be done. And so it's sort of just, the way men and women think differently falls into how they sort of run their companies as well.
It's very interesting. I've seen that too in running my business for now we're over 11 years. And one of the things that I continue to come back to, and you would see this on the homepage of our website, and that is, as a successful professional, do you know what you don't know? And we've learned over time that if you don't know what you don't know, then you're not typically receptive to learning, because the converse of that is they don't want to know what they don't know, or they think they don't even know, they don't even want to learn. But if you know what you don't know, comes to the recognition that of what your particular, what we call unique brilliance or your skill set of expertise is, and you recognize that, no, I can't, develop a website, or I, really don't understand how telecommunications can work and how I can get my copier to scan something or print something out. That's a technological challenge, and there's nobody that really would know how to do that if you've not been trained to do it. And so we find it often comes down men versus women, all of us, mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really intuitive. And I think if you don't know what you don't know concept is really applicable. And I think that there is a difference in mindset, and there's sort of, the way I see it, there's a bigger picture kind of view for men and a more detailed picture from women, but obviously everyone individually is different. But it is interesting that if you aren't willing to recognize there's something's not working, it's harder to get the problem solved.
Exactly. And you waste the time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I am schizoid over time. I can't stand to waste it. And, we've all been there when something doesn't work right on our computer and we can't, like right now, for some reason, my Outlook is not opening, and I, will probably call my IT people when we hang up finish our interview. But it's like, just nip it in the bud, fix it. That's all. Just fix it and Let's move on.
I had the same issue yesterday. My internet decided not to work in my office. And I was like, what is going on? I need internet. And, so of course it turned out they were doing some work down the street, and it was just off for like an hour, but they didn't notify me. But I was like on that, like right on that. I had to get that fixed because, and then I had a plan. Okay, well, I'll go to the library or Starbucks or somewhere else to get to internet. So yeah, right. It definitely is your mindset and how you view things.
So speaking of that, and given all the technology that impacts our lives every day in every kind of way, I mean, I'm sure you and I remember a day that wasn't the case. We were in business before. My first exposure to major technology was in 1995. I remember that's when we got email. when I was part of the first website build of a large law firm in Philadelphia. And so that's been 24 years. It's hard to believe, almost 25 years. But before that, you might get something new once a year or something. I don't know. But, being able to have a speaker on your phone, right? Having a speaker phone used to be a big thing. But now, in the last 25 years, it's just been like a race to the moon. So I'm just curious, in your space, what your thoughts are on, given the fact that technology changes so frequently, and how it can impact businesses. What are some of the counsel and the red flags that you see that you give to businesses if they are going to remain competitive?
So, it sort of depends on what career or what type of company it is, but it can get overwhelming with all of the technology. And so I have them focus on sort of where are your major pain points and what is it that, you want to make sure your technology covers. And those are the areas that you should make sure to stay up to date with. And, some of the programs up to date themselves. One of the benefits of sort of what I do is I'll come in and give you, here's a bunch of different types of apps or other programs that you can use that will do these jobs for you, so they don't have to figure it out themselves. So that's sort of one of the benefits of hiring somebody outside. But you can Google your problem and there'll be a list of 10 different companies that have some device or app that will solve it. And sort of for me, on a personal level, where this hit me was several years ago. I'm that person where I can't have anything opened I have 0 unread messages.
Right.
I constantly look at my email all day long. And even when I was working, if something, the emails pop up on your screen and you see it and you get bothered by something and you want to address something. And then I learned about this app or plugin for Office 365 called Boomerang. And what Boomerang did was, one, it let you schedule your emails so that you could send them out at certain times, which was really nice because sometimes you need to send an email. You're writing an email at 10 o'clock at night, but you don't need to be sending that out to somebody else at 10 o'clock at night because now you're sort of delving into their work-life balance, right? So you want to give some space. But the other thing it did was it allowed you to sort of block when you needed time and you didn't want your emails coming to you. So you could chunk off time that you didn't want to be bothered so that you could write in law, like a motion, or do something else. And what would happen was an email would go back out to whoever sent you the email that said, you could customize this, but something like, thank you, your email's been received. It'll be read after 5 o'clock tonight, or between 3 and 5, or something like that. So that the person knows you got the email is coming in, but you're not going to be responding to them right away. And it really kind of gave me sort of a calming effect where I didn't feel like I was so hyper vigilant about checking emails, because I knew the people were getting a reply and it allowed me to block off time. So for me, that was sort of a pain point that I needed to figure out how to automate. So I think, with technology, you really need to sit down with a business owner and say, where are you finding your struggles? And let's figure out how to automate that. Is it sales, where you need to get into a Salesforce or some kind of tracking device that can follow up on things for you? Do you want to use Constant Contact or MailChimp and get letters or newsletters out to your clients? Where's your pain points? And let's talk about how to automate those to get rid of those pain areas.
That's such an invaluable service because, what I'm sure we've all found is, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And when we struggle with unproductivity, which can happen very, very quickly, trying to manage and fight technology, then you find that, you've exhausted your 18 hours, you're exhausted. Not only are you exhausted the time, but your body and your mind is exhausted, but yet you've not really accomplished what you needed to advance the growth of your business.
Absolutely.
And that, I did that so much early on. And because we need the technology can be our quote, our friend, if we're not, if we're not controlled by the technology. So the service that you bring in, developing customized solutions to manage and to leverage technology to the benefit of productivity, as well as, like the sales force you're speaking about and developing sales funnels, not only brings a tremendously high efficiency to a business, but then it can assure and uplift business owners and business teams, that everyone is focusing on what they need to focus on, that's going to move the company forward in the way that they have established in their strategic goals. And then they know that it's being handled. So it's a win-win-win on every level.
Yes. Thank you. I agree with you.
So, so what do you think some of the best practices are that business owners in your area of expertise, that business owners should focus on to develop a winning game plan?
First, I think business owners should make sure to have a business plan.
Yeah.
So, a 1, 3, 5, 10-year outlook plan. Like you probably aren't, but many people would be surprised how many businesses do not have that. And when you don't have goals, it's sort of, the business kind of just flounders around, right? So, you need to have a vision, and you need to have goals, and you need to have specific people who are going to work towards those specific goals. So that would be my first piece of advice. Secondly, I think that, a yearly review, an honest review of sort of where the strengths and weaknesses are of the company and of the people working in the company. I have worked for the last 20 something years, and I've never had a yearly review.
Wow.
And, the lack of a yearly review sort of creates a problem where people don't really know where they stand in the company.
Right.
And where they're valued, right? So I've had like talks, meetings, things like that. But I think self-reviews of the company, right? So they're reviewing themselves, they're reviewing a company, and you review your employees is important. So, I think, really taking a hard look at, all right, is our website good? Are we doing any social media? Are we utilizing the best program for our sales? Is X employee really doing what they're supposed to be doing? And sometimes in businesses, you have that sort of catch-22 problem where you have a long-term employee who really just isn't doing, what they need to be doing anymore. And there's that struggle about keeping them versus, sometimes you need to maybe change the duties of the person, right, to maximize what they're good at. One of the areas I think that businesses struggle a lot with employees is the failure to communicate expectations. And so, when you hire somebody, I think it's really important at the outset to tell them what the expectations you have of them are.
Yes.
Right? Arrive on time, respond to emails within X amount of time, handle clients in this way. And they should tell you what their expectations are, right? I expect to work in an environment where I'm not getting yelled at. If there's a problem, like you talk to me. So I think companies need to do that. And then, I think you'll probably agree in this one very much so, which is you really need to invest to grow.
Yeah.
And as a prior business owner, it is hard to find the money and realize that, if you spend a little, you're going to get it back, but probably in, tenfold. But you really need to invest to grow. And, finally, I would say that business owners should focus really on a little bit more on automation and social media and realize they're your friends. I mean, certain companies, if their target audiences are a certain age range, really need to make use of social media as a platform to communicate with potential clients.
Very, very important. One of the things, and I can certainly relate to all the points that you've made, because oftentimes you you are in the company of, prospective clients, and they have these pain points and things aren't the way that they're doing them, a way that they're running their business, trying to grow their business, as we know, are very counterproductive. Yet this is, quote, this is how we've always done things. How many times you heard that?
Right.
And then so my question is, so how's that working for you? And so oftentimes we've worked with businesses that they don't keep the right financial records. They don't do intakes. They don't do profitability reports on their clients or their customers. They don't really know how it's working or not working. Their only measurement point is, do I get a big chunk bonus at the end of the year? And that's, if they are, and they get to live the lifestyle that they want to have, then they think that they're doing fine. But that doesn't really cut it anymore, because there are so many solutions, technological solutions and apps and data points that we can figure out that can help you take a bird's eye view of, you need to do more of this and less of that. But they don't know how to do that, which goes back to, retaining the services of experts that do know, that ultimately will help you grow beyond your imagination. And what I find too, Robyn, is many business owners, not only do they not have goals, and they have no set budget because they don't know what to budget, but yet they seem like the bar of what they expect from their business is really low.
Yeah, and I think, kind of with that is that many people are conflict avoiders. So they don't talk to their employees about demanding more, or they don't look at their profit loss sheets or their expenses and say, okay, I've had the same vendor for like 5 years. Maybe there's someone that can actually give me a better deal. Right? So they don't even look at their own expenses to see where they can maybe reevaluate, cut costs, increase profit, which ultimately increases profits or allows them to get the money to invest in new technology or my services, your type of services, to kind of help them to help them grow and expand. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't take a look really at what struggles they have because they are making money. Right. They could be making more.
And they can have a greater impact.
Right.
But when you go into a business and you don't have any business background or business methodology, and you don't have a plan, and of course we say, if you're failing to plan, then you're planning to fail, so they just kind of flounder along. And at some point, the danger of some of that is because there are plenty of people in their space that are doing it in a very smart and savvy way. They are using data metrics. They are, budgeting. They are using and leveraging systems. And so what they don't understand, the folks who are not, is that there will be a time when they're going to have fewer clients and they're going to be less attractive solution because they've gotten left in the, they've been left in the dust because there are other people who are outperforming them.
And yeah, absolutely. And along those lines, sometimes customers and clients, right, demand certain technology.
Right.
And certain encryption and things that you might be just yesing people when you don't have those services. And you're going to start losing customers if you don't, invest in yourself and invest in your technology and your company. And I think what you said about, business owners sometimes have low expectations. If you have high expectations, you get higher results, right? You live up to your expectations.
And that again is mindset.
Absolutely.
And the other word I would throw at that is cyber hacks, data security. How many people have data security plans, particularly those businesses that store highly sensitive information of their clients? And for people, I know I work with cybersecurity lawyers, and I know just from being educated by them that there is real dangerous, scary liability vulnerabilities if business owners do not protect their data.
I don't know if you were aware, but several months ago in Philadelphia, the court system got hacked.
Yes.
Right? And somebody working for the city opened up some random app and then they were held hostage or whatever. imagine the data that is publicly available on a daily basis, but now even more available by someone hacking into the court system.
I mean, the liability and the potential for lawsuits can bankrupt a business.
And yeah, I mean, and the courts have even started to require that people file documents without personal and sensitive information, which they didn't used to do. Right? So, it's yes. I mean, I think cybersecurity is probably one of the most underutilized functions in most companies.
Until it happens to them.
Right. Absolutely.
So one of my favorite questions to ask our guest, Robyn, is if you could give yourself one piece of professional advice, what would that be?
So my joke is don't be a lawyer, but I'm not going to say that. No, there's some amazing things about being a lawyer, but I would say the one piece of advice I would give would be if you don't ask for something, you don't get it.
Oh, awesome. And would you agree with the fact that that is potentially or particularly true for women?
100%.
Oh my gosh, I could talk 5 hours about this, but I will say, and I agree with you 1,000,000%, for a lot of different reasons. But one of the things that I continuously share and try to impress upon women clients, just women in the world that are in my universe, if you don't ask, the answer will always be no.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yep. And it doesn't matter what it is. Like,
right.
If you don't ask for it, you're never going to get it. So right. What's the worst that can happen? You ask for it and don't get it. You're you're at the same place. Exactly.
Well, that will be the topic of another podcast, because that is something that lights me up as far as how women work and live in this world. And we deserve the best of everything and should settle for nothing less. And that's a whole nother thing. But yes, I absolutely agree, and I love that answer. And I'm gonna assume that that you have not always asked.
I have not, and I mean I've had this a struggle with this, and it took a while to realize the importance of it. But the first time I encountered it, where I realized what was happening, it was a silly kind of story. But I worked somewhere where they had tickets to a sporting event, and I noticed that the guys were always getting the tickets to go to the sporting events, and I was never getting the tickets. And I loved this. I'm very into sports, and I was kind of like, why am I never getting these tickets? So finally one day I was like, well, just go ask. And so I asked, and I got the tickets. And every time after that I asked and I got the tickets. And I was like, you built this whole thing up in your head about why you weren't getting these tickets, and all you had to do was ask. They never said no when I asked.
But that is that could just be so emblematic of how we wait. We think that if we work hard enough, then our work will be recognized and we'll get the bonus or the promotion or whatever it is, the carrot at the end of the stick. And if we do this and we do that, when I'm thin, I'll get more dates. And I came, and like you, I came to a recognition. It's like, you know what? I think one of the quote that we've always heard Cher Bono say, this life is not a dress rehearsal.
Yep.
You can't wait. You got to just go for it. And so anyway, but that's another conversation. But this has been absolutely riveting, so uplifting. I'm so excited. Foxglove Business Solutions, under the direction of Robyn Goldenberg, is the go-to solution for businesses who really want to move and move ahead in the business of their area of expertise. And so I want to give our listeners every opportunity to connect with you, whether you're a brand new business or you've been in business for a while. Maybe there's some succession or transition going on in your business. Whatever the business is, your go-to place is Robyn Goldenberg at office Foxglove Business Solutions. So Robyn, please share with us, what is the best way for our listeners to connect with you?
Well, first, thank you again for having me participate in this podcast. It's really been a pleasure, Kimberly. It's always great talking with you. But if you're looking to take your business to the next level or increase your business development and automation, which ultimately will lead to increased profits, you can reach me at Robyn, which is ROBYN, at foxglovebusinesssolutions.com. I'm also on the internet, www.foxglovebusinesssolutions.com, or by phone at 267-257-2631.
Wonderful. Well, this concludes another episode of Secret Sauce Marketing Tastings. We thank you, readers, for joining us today, and keep on moving forward. Thank you, Robyn.
Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate it.